AI is not just a new technology. We see it fundamentally changing the way that society works. And in this insert, we want to look at some of those ways. How does it affect the government? How does it affect private companies? If you look at society, I think one of the biggest impacts that's going to happen is there going to be substantial layoffs in the labor market. People are going to become unemployed. And what happens when people become unemployed, they no longer earn a salary, but they're no longer able to spend. So the first thing they cut back on is their discretionary spending, stuff like holidays, eating out, etc. That'll obviously have an impact on those industries. As they find it harder and harder to find work, they then start cutting back further and more. They can't spend, but they also can't pay taxes. So what happens is the tax revenues to the government decreases, and the stuff that governments need to spend on starts coming under pressure. So civil servant salaries, unemployment benefits, social grants, etc., becomes harder and harder to pay those things. And we know traditionally when governments stop paying them, they get voted out of power. So there's a couple of challenges around that. The first thing is, as I said, you can basically cut the spend and get voted out of power. The second thing is you can start issuing more debt, i.e. borrowing money. The problem with that is the more debt you issue, the higher the risk, and therefore the higher the interest rate is that you need to offer, which then leads into a debt spiral. And the third and final thing that governments do, or what they can do, is start printing money, and we know the consequences of that are severe. It leads to inflation and a decrease in living standards. So how should you, the investor, structure your portfolio? So I think some of the things that we've been thinking about is what are the industries that are going to benefit from the AI boom? We've got stuff like data centers, AI companies themselves, all the stuff that surrounds AI could potentially benefit. We see the NASDAQ, which is basically an index of tech stocks, a broad index of tech stocks, doing exceptionally well the past 12 months, approximately 30% in US dollars, which is phenomenal. We also think because of the inflation risk, inflation-linking bonds might not be the worst idea that you can have. But there's a couple of solutions to it. There's a couple of very big opportunities that are going to be out there, but also a couple of very big risks. And what we're trying to do is look at those opportunities, look at the risks, structure our portfolios so that they can manage the downside risk that we spoke about, but then also take advantage of the potential upside of the new emerging industries. If you have any more questions, please just send us a comment below, or you can reach out to us at info@digiwealth.co.za. Hopefully we've given you some things to think about. Until next time, happy investing.